Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Kelly Catalinas with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation in conjunction with Cindy Bishop Worldwide. And today we have a special guest presenter, Ms. Sarah Rubin, who is our Regional Marketing Director here for Fairway Independent Mortgage. Last month we did a webinar on marketing to millennials, and we discussed various platforms that would help you raise your business in those platforms to that specific group of purchasers, the largest group that we've ever seen before. And we are bringing Sarah back to talk about one of those platforms today, which is Instagram. So without further ado, here is Sarah Rubin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you everyone for attending. We really are going to dive pretty much right in, but like Kelly mentioned, we are going to talk about really the power of Instagram and how to turn kind of your content and your likes and comments into business. So not always going to be a direct conversion. Every post isn't going to get you a deal, but how to use the platform to convert those likes and those comments into business for you. Because at the end of the day, that's really what we're all trying to do. We're trying to take our presence and turn it into, presence. So making it really something that is fruitful, so that your social media labors really do provide something for you. So with that, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we will dive right in. Okay, so really all of this is meeting your clients where they are. So millennials, they aren't on Facebook nearly as much as they are on Instagram. So there is no denying that Mark Zuckerberg is a genius. And so when he saw the decline in millennial users, he saw the need for Instagram. So Instagram is owned by Facebook. It does make the pairing of those two platforms super simple. So we're going to dive right into the idea of really meeting these millennial clients where they are on Instagram and utilizing Instagram to turn likes into leads. So why are we even talking about Instagram? So Instagram has 1 billion, that's billion with a B, active users. So Instagram has two real formats. There is the feed, so the pictures that live there forever, and then the stories. So the kind of scroll through, go away content that's there for about 24 hours. And Instagram stories are used by about 500 million users every day. So if we have 1 billion active users and half of them are using stories daily, that means that at least half of them are also using Instagram daily. So the platform is not an idle platform. It's a truly active platform. And sorry, that is an incorrect mathematical number, but that would be 100 million. But we have a large portion of them using the platform daily. And then a third of the most viewed Instagram stories are from businesses. So Facebook announced about a year and a half ago now that they were devaluing business pages and making the content harder to see. So you will notice that if you're using Facebook for business, your content isn't going as far. You're not getting as many comments and likes as you were maybe a year and a half ago. But on Instagram, that's actually not the case. Instagram stories are actually really powerful for business because the algorithm, and we will dive into the algorithm, doesn't devalue business content. So a third of the most viewed Instagram stories are in fact from businesses. And 50% of businesses on Instagram worldwide, so not just in the US, created at least one story every month. So really, businesses are starting to get the hang of this, and they are starting to use the platform that, people are just using to capture daily life. And that is really one of the biggest differences about Instagram, is that Instagram is meant to showcase photos of your daily life. And that story feed is really meant to tell the story of your life, and it's doing a really good job at it. So Instagram is the platform people go to see what's going on, what's happening with the businesses that they care about. Right now, are the restaurants they love delivering? Are they doing helplines for their staff? Can you donate? What are the local stores that you really love saying right now? What is the news saying? You can look at all of that type of stuff on Instagram, and millennials are. So a lot of people then say, okay, I get it. I get that it's important, but I don't even know where to start. So how do I set up my profile? So we're going to walk through that really quickly. So if you are using an iPhone, you're going to download Instagram from the App Store. If you're using an Android, you're going to go to the Google Play Store, and you're going to type in Instagram and download the app. Once the app is installed, you're going to tap to open it. You're going to tap sign up with email or phone number for an Android, or create new account for an iPhone. You're then going to enter your email address or phone number, which will require a confirmation code. Pretty straightforward, however. And then you're going to tap next. You can also tap login with Facebook to sign up for your Facebook account, to sign up with your Facebook account. I do recommend that you use a phone number or an email, just so that you can kind of develop a little bit more of your username and your name field, which we're going to dive into in the next few slides. But really, you want to have the ability to build those out in the most search engine optimized way. And if you just create it with your Facebook account, a lot of those fields are then going to take editing versus creating, and it gets a little bit more confusing. So if you can just sign up with an email or a phone number. If you do go ahead and do that, then you can create a username and password, and you'll fill out your profile information. You'll then hit next, and if you just register with your Facebook account, which is fine if that's your preference, you'll be prompted to log into the account if you aren't already logged in on your phone, and then you'll move forward. So really, then people say, okay, I have it, but who do I follow? Who follows me? How do I build that audience? So building an audience is actually way more simple than you might think. So if you are active on Instagram, people will follow you. So if you go and follow people, as long as you're not only following celebrities and news outlets and magazines and restaurants, people will follow you. So if you are following local people, people you actually know, people you interact with, they will follow you back. If you ask people to do something in your content, so you post something and you ask someone to follow you, you ask someone to comment, you ask someone to like, people will generally do that. Again, if your whole audience is targeted at kind of the more famous enchilada, then you aren't going to get that audience. But if you really think about who are you targeting, so you're targeting potential buyers, potential sellers, then really you're asking questions like which bedroom do you like better, and showing 2 pictures, people are going to comment. If you ask people to follow, again, people are going to do so. If you are attentive, so if you really pay attention to the people you went and followed, and you are liking their content, and you are following them, you are commenting on their content, and not just saying, nice, cool, yes, but instead putting meaningful comments, they will put comments on your content as well, and it will build this audience. People will be notified, oh, Sarah Rubin just commented on Cindy Bishop's photo, and maybe go and check out Cindy Bishop's photo. If you are authentic in what you're saying, so if someone saw that I commented on something about running a marathon, people are going to say, Sarah doesn't run marathons, that would be a weird thing. But if instead someone saw that I commented on a Labradoodle photo, anyone who knows me would say, oh yeah, that's super authentic to Sarah. Let's go see what photo that is. So really it's all about figuring out what and whom you identify with. So what real estate photos you love. Do you love some HGTV pictures? Do you love pictures from the CEO of your company? Do you love specific, design stores in your community? Go after those types of things because people will see that that's where you're commenting, and that's really authentic to your brand, and it will build an audience around that with people who either feel the same way about the same content or with the owners of the content. And then you need to be doing things that are applicable. So if you aren't providing content that's applicable to other people, then they can't really do anything. So if you start at stage 6 of the home buying process and you say, the thing you need to worry about is a home appraisal, and you start talking about that first, well, all your first-time home buyers are likely really confused, and all they want to really talk about is where to start looking for a home. So you need to start at kind of the beginning and think about what things you can teach people, and we will get to the type of content that you should be posting, but you need to give people things that they can actually apply to their own lives. Here are 5 steps when you're starting to think about buying a home. And then after you've provided all of that, then you can talk about preparing for an appraisal way down the line and seeing what your house is actually worth. So really it's about thinking about what your audience can follow along with and what they can identify with so they can be active with you as you are active with them. So then after you think about kind of what type of audience you're trying to build and how to build it, you need to think about what type of account you want. And we're actually going to start from the right side of this slide and then move backwards, because a personal account on Instagram, it's the perfect place to start, but it's likely not where most of you are going to end. And the reason for that is because you are limited in what you can do with a personal account. So a personal account can be public or private. So if you are just starting with Instagram and you are really hesitant about sharing pieces of your personal life with the public, and so you are only comfortable if you can have a private account, a personal Instagram account is great. You can keep it locked. People have to request to follow you. You have to approve that. Totally fine. But there is not a contact button, and it doesn't give you the space to add your type of business, your email, your phone number, or your address. So there's not that just contact button so someone can just call you directly from Instagram. It makes it a little bit harder to convert that to a lead. And then, like I said, basic Instagram profile, great place to start. You are probably going to want to advance to a business profile or a creator profile. So if you are a Facebook business user, then a business Instagram page is likely where you're going to want to go. And the reason I say that is if you use Facebook for business and that is something you are super active with, it's a super easy conversion to have a business Instagram page because you have to connect the two. You can't have a business Instagram page without a business Facebook page. It's kind of like a square and a rectangle thing. All squares are rectangles, not all rectangles are squares. So you have to have the business Facebook page to have the business Instagram page. So you do have access to insights and analytics, super important as you're thinking about what content to be posting, what's resonating with the people who follow you. There is that contact button. So email address, phone number, address, all of that type of business, the fact that you're a realtor, all of that stuff in the business profile. You can promote your posts. So exactly like Facebook, you can put a few dollars behind it and boost a post. And then what's really interesting about the business profiles is they can be used with third-party schedulers. So things like Hootsuite, where you can schedule content out. So If you really want to make sure you're posting 4 days a week in your feed, you can schedule that content. You know, every Monday you're posting Motivation Monday. You want to just schedule all of May's content right now. You can do that with a business account. With a creator account, it's a little bit different, but it's really professional as well. So if you don't have that business Facebook page, and you know there are pros and cons to that, totally a different conversation for a different time, but don't feel like you have to go create a business Facebook page because you need a professional Instagram account. Creator was created to fill that void. So you have a filtered inbox. So you have the ability to separate your messages in Instagram from the people you really know and the people who you don't. So as those likes turn to leads, you have the ability to separate your inboxes. You still have access to insights and analytics. If, let's say, you somehow got a sponsorship deal, you can tag brand products. Not super important for real estate, but really important just to know that this is a differentiator from business and creator. You can still promote your posts. You have access to the stories music sticker. So something that was a little strange, Instagram decided to get rid of the ability to add music in business stories. Not sure why, but they did, and people were really unhappy with it. So they allowed that ability when they launched Creator. But what Creator does not allow for is third-party schedulers. And you may be saying, you know, why? I don't really get it. It's still kind of a business professional option. So really the thing we're seeing is that businesses are using business. So the people who are super prescriptive in how they post, when they post, why they post, still are using business. The creator profile are used by marketers, bloggers, influencers, much more of the created Instagram as they go type people. So all of my regional pages, my mortgage pages that I work on are business accounts. My personal page is a creator account because I don't schedule out any of my personal content, but some of our business content we know, 3-4 days in advance, and that we can schedule. So that's really kind of the difference in that thought process as to why some of the schedulers are allowed and not allowed. So my personal suggestion to you would be do everything in your power to move from a personal account to either a business account or a creator account. Either one is totally powerful. The biggest thing you need to think about in these is just looking at your insights and analytics. What posts are people saving? What posts are people sharing with others that might not follow you? That's the stuff that's really important to look at, and you can do it with either a business or a creator account. So don't get super hung up on which one you choose, and you can always switch back or between any of them. And you can do that all from your settings. So, okay, so now you've decided what you want, you know how you build your audience, and you've created your Instagram. So now what? How do you create your bio? What do you call yourself? Do you just give yourself your name? So I actually do just have a snapshot of my personal profile here. So as I mentioned, I do have a creator account. So it does have the ability for some contact information, but this is, from me. So it has the edit profile button there, but if you were looking at it, you wouldn't see that. You'd see contact there instead. So your username. So that's really your it's your handle. So you want to either have your actual name in your username section or in your name section. And the reason for that is your username and your name section are the only two sections on Instagram that are SEO optimized. So it's the only two places where a search engine pulls that content. So your bio, Google doesn't look at any of that information. Instagram looks at it and says, okay, this is what this person's talking about, and that helps your algorithm, so we'll talk about that as well. But Google doesn't say, okay, this is who this person is and this is what they do. They only look at the username and the name section. So your username or your name section, not both, need to have your name. And if your name is super common, like mine, you're going to need to add something else. So my handle, my username is @SarahElise-Rubin. When it was my maiden name, it was just first name, last name, because it was a little bit less common. It was just @SarahSlotnick. When I changed it, I had to add that middle, and that's totally fine. Now there are 3 names people can find me by. My name section tells people what I do. So my name section is this helping you build your brand. So you would never want it to be my handle, Sarah Elise Rubin, and my name section, Sarah Rubin, because that's a waste of my search engine optimization. We want people, if they are searching for building a brand, my profile to pull. So for all of you, you want real estate to be somewhere, helping you sell a home, helping you buy a home, specializing in first-time home buyers, anything of that nature, whatever is really personal to you, in either your username or your name section, not a repeat in both. Then your bio really needs to tell people a little bit more about you, and it's telling actually Instagram more about you, because Instagram later is going to look at that and categorize what you're posting against your bio to figure out if they're matching and figure out where to put your content in the algorithm. So for me, marketing, number 1. What's my job? What do I do on a daily basis? What does most of my content relate to? After that, what do I post a lot about? I post a lot about being married. I was posting a lot about being engaged, about planning my wedding, all of those things. After that, I post a lot of pictures about my dog. Definitely a big feature. And then after that, I'm a Rent the Runway ambassador. All of that is in my profile as well. And you will see below my highlights, and we will talk about highlights, follow exactly what's in my bio. So Instagram has no ability to be confused about what I'm going to post about. So then the algorithm can say, okay, this matches up, or no, it doesn't. But that's really important, that your bio is saying, this is what I add, and this is what I'm talking about. So what is your specialty in real estate? What are you going to be posting about? Are you a parent? Are you a coach? Are you a proud alumni of a certain university? Do you post a lot about that? Whatever those things are, you want to make sure are in your bio. And they can be shorthand. They can be kind of segmented out because you have limited text. And then your link needs to be a call to action. So download my buyer's guide here, download my seller's guide, all of that kind of stuff. So my link is a video we worked super hard on creating. So that's what my link sends you right there. You wanna make sure the link isn't just a repeat of exactly what's in your Instagram profile. It needs to be a call to action in another way. So once your bio is set up, the next most common question is, okay, I'm gonna start posting, but what do I post and where am I posting it? Am I posting it a story? Am I posting it on my feed? What do I do? So stories are way more active and way more often. So your story content can truly be anything. Your office, you and your friends, you and your family, quotes that speak to you, other people's content. So if someone posts something that tags you in it, you can easily repost that to your story. You do have the option, you get notified, and you can literally just hit add this to my story. You love what is on a public profile. there's usually the option to just add it to your story. You would never just steal someone's content and post it to your feed, but it is totally acceptable to take someone's content and as long as you're giving them credit, put it on your story. Your daily life is truly in your story. People should see kind of the progression of an event, of a day, of what something looks like. If you're staging a house, what did it look like before and what does it look like now? It is truly exactly what it sounds like. It's a story. And you can post multiple times a day. Truly, you should be posting multiple times a day, and you should be posting daily. I know that that can be really overwhelming if you are just starting on Instagram. So everything can be scaled back. So if you are just starting and you can only post a story once a week, that's okay. The goal is to build up to daily or 5 days a week, and you're doing multiple stories a day that are showing people the progression of your day. Totally, totally fine if you need to get there. Don't let it be a barrier of entry that the goal would be to be posting almost daily. There are weeks where I don't post a story. That's okay. Most weeks I am posting at least 5 times a week on my story. Instagram feed content, the easiest way to think of it is a highlight reel. So it doesn't mean that you have to look your best always or that everything has to look perfect. It's okay to be vulnerable in your Instagram feed, but it should be the best content of what you're doing. So if you're at an event and you took 600 photos, pick one. The other 599, you can story, but pick with the best photo from the event. And yes, Instagram does allow you to add 10 photos in a single post, but it is usually best if you just pick one photo. Yes, we just entered a new decade. There was a whole bunch of challenges right before doing your top 10 photos from the last decade. That's fine. Add your 10 photos. But in general, you want to pick your best photo from the event, the day, whatever it is you're posting, because people don't sit there and scroll. So it's totally fine to just pick that one photo. It will get the most likes, the most interaction, the most shares, the most saves. So a lot of people say, okay, but I love 4 photos. Should I just post only one photo and post them 4 in a row? No. If you need to post 4 photos, you should post the 4 photos in one post, but you should never be posting more than once a day unless it's a seriously extenuating circumstance. But really, that is the Instagram #1 rule: once a day posting. Okay, so now what do I post? I get it. Where do I post each one, but what do I post? And I do give all of the credit to Chelsea Pites for these 5 E's of content. She actually just released her 2nd book titled exactly this, What to Post. It is a great book, highly recommend ordering it from Amazon. It has a workbook in it. It will help you get more comfortable with Instagram. But your content should always be at least one of these E's, if not more than one. Usually I will say it should always be engaging, and then one of the other 4, but at a minimum, it should at least be one of these 5 E's. So it should be it can be educational. So here are the steps of home ownership. Here are the steps of home buying, home selling. You're getting ready to stage your house. This is what it should look like. You're preparing for an open house. This is what it should look like. Anything about, did you know, mythbusters of home buying or selling, anything like that. You are the experts in real estate. Educate your followers on something they might not know. Even if they might know it, that's okay. Anything that is educational. Something that's entertaining. So millennials, they like to be entertained. They are very different than Gen Z, and we could talk about Gen Z forever, but unlike Gen Z, millennials love to just be entertained. So you can post something that's silly, that's fun, that's simply entertaining, and that's totally fine. Everything should be engaging. So it shouldn't be, a dull photo that's taken in poor lighting, and kind of dull to the eye. Photos should make people want to look at them, should make people read what you wrote in the caption. You should have to draw people in. Things that are emotional do really well on all social media platforms, but especially on Instagram because photos trigger emotions. So this doesn't mean you need to be posting about, hardship and tragedy all the time, but nostalgia does incredibly well. So my personal favorite movie, Dirty Dancing. So if I posted a picture of watching Dirty Dancing over the weekend because it was on Bravo, then I can post that photo and write a whole caption about how that was my favorite movie and ask people what theirs was. And that'll get a whole bunch of entertainment, or a whole bunch of engagement rather, and it will pull on people's emotions because it'll take them back to what their favorite movie is, or share something, or make them comment on anything that triggers some sort of emotion, happy, sad, nostalgic, anything. And then I think that the fifth E is the most important. So the content on Instagram, if at all possible, should be exclusive. So if I follow your business page on Facebook, or I'm friends with your personal page on Facebook, and I also follow you on LinkedIn and on Twitter or anywhere else you may be, and we email, and you email me the same thing that you're going to post on Instagram, or it's on Facebook, which is the most likely, and then I open Instagram and it's there too. Why do I open Instagram? Most people, the answer is I don't, if that's not your primary place of content. So your content on Instagram needs to be exclusive whenever possible. It needs to be different than what you're posting other places so that people want to go to your Instagram profile and see what you're posting there because they can't get that content anywhere else. So you only post these education tips on Instagram. All your other education tips might be somewhere else, but these specific ones are only on Instagram. These specific photos shouldn't be showing up everywhere else because then you take down the amount of engagement you get. So now we're really going to talk about how do you post an Insta story. And really the reason we talk about this, and we're going to talk about really fast, is just people generally get a little bit confused here. So you need to tap your home button. It'll be your first button on the left-hand side of your Instagram profile on the bottom. Once you hit that home button on the top, you will see a camera. If you hit that, it will give you the option of taking a photo or choosing from your gallery of photos. That will then take you to your Insta story. You can then add text, tag people, add your location, add stickers, add music if you're in a creator or a personal, all of those types of things, but you need to be in your home screen, not in your profile. That tends to be one of the most, confusing parts. People want to go from that profile and hit the add button. You need to be going from your home screen. So highlights. So they rolled out highlights as a way to archive your Insta stories. You don't need to worry about having pretty pictures as your cover photos of your highlights. You can get there eventually, but the way a lot of the brain is working now, and this is really targeted more at Gen Z than at millennials, is that everything is broken into categories. So Instagram basically said we need to function much more like a website because that is what millennials are using as the website. That is what Gen Z is using as a website more than a computer. So you want to think of your highlights kind of like your sub pages on a website. So yes, these types of photos where it's, you know, these little graphics, great, but not necessary. You can use any photo that you've Insta-storied previously. You can't just add to your highlights, you need to add to your story first. And you can create graphics like that using sites like Canva for free. But really what you want to be doing is breaking your stories into segments. So work, family, pets. So you'll see mine follow exactly what my bio says, and they do rearrange order based on what you added to last. So I added a family one most recently because I taught my grandmother how to Zoom last night. My grandma is 96. She didn't actually learn. My dad absolutely held that phone because no way she was doing that. But that is my most recent one. But you will see they shift all around based on what you add to, and they should follow pretty much what's in your profile. So I have a work one. I have, you can't see it at the moment, but I have a weddings one. I have a dog one. I have a rent the runway one. They follow exactly what's in my profile because it's really important for the algorithm. So if you hit your hamburger menu, you will see an archive button. And while Insta stories are only 24 hours, for the public, they do live in an archive on, and we'll get to this in just one second. They do live in an archive on your Instagram. So you and Instagram have access to every Insta story you ever posted. So once you decide you want highlights, you can go to your profile, you can hit that hamburger menu, hit that archive, and then you will see a thumbnail of every story you've ever posted. You can choose the story you're interested in, and then you'll hit the highlight in the bottom right and add them to the highlight you're interested in. So you can then go through all the stories you may have added previously before you created highlights and say, okay, I'm going to categorize everything now so that everything is there. Everything is really in these nice, neat buckets, and people can follow along just as they do on your website. All of your education can be in one bucket. All of your motivation can be in one bucket. It's a great way to let people feel really organized with something that's not necessarily super organized. You do want to have at least 5 highlights if possible so that you have a really full row. But again, don't let anything be a barrier to use. Start with one and work your way up. So the other, common question is, what's my caption? What do I caption a photo? Do I just upload a photo on my feed and walk away? Do I rewrite what's in the picture? What do I do? So you really want to be providing additional information about the photo. So not sunset if it's a picture of a sunset, not pretty house if it's a picture of a house. You really want to be giving additional information, something that draws that reader in, something that teaches the viewer something. So, if you're doing a buyer's tip, you can put the tip in, short form, something really kind of a tidbit or a tease of the tip in the picture, and then the full tip or an expansion of the tip in the description. You want something that can provoke a deeper thought, something that makes people comment, that asks questions, that allows you to respond, that starts a conversation. If they direct message you, that is a win. Instagram loves direct messages. They want people to be using direct messages like they use text messages. It makes the algorithm jump for joy. Or just something that makes people laugh. Totally fine to just make people giggle. So some picture taking tips for your story. Your picture should be vertical. That is the way the pictures are viewed. Pictures should either be previews of feed pictures. So if you take a picture of a house, You shouldn't just post the house in your story too, unless you're putting something like new photo over it in like, which is a sticker, and you don't have to create it. You can just hit the gift button in the stickers and type in new post, and it'll pop over it, and it's pretty simple to do. But they should be previews of feed pictures or completely different. You don't want the exact same content in your feed and in your story. It makes it so people don't have to like or comment on the feed. They can just, or reply to your story. They can just do one or the other or ignore both. They should be short. So if you're gonna record a video, you don't want it to go into multiple frames of an Insta story. You can create multiple videos throughout the day, but break it up with other content. You don't want these to be these long rants. And then limit use of multiple colors, fonts, and stickers. So one or two, you definitely don't want, 5 different colors, 3 different fonts. It's really overwhelming to the eye. If you don't want to look at it, neither does anyone else. Your feed, you should, if at all possible, use the square option. It makes it perfectly sized for your feed. Limit text in the photos. If you're using a quote, that's fine for something like a Motivational Monday. If you're doing a tip, also fine, but the more you can do a true photo, the better. Limit use of color, fonts, and stickers, same thing, and then don't over edit. People know when things are incredibly edited. And then really, we're gonna talk about the algorithm for the last few slides. So understanding the algorithm, the timeline on Instagram is very different than Facebook. So the timeline is by relevance, not time. So it's really based on what you like, and what you interact with. So if you are always liking my photos, you are going to see my photos sooner than you see photos that you never like. If you theme your content, so if you tell people that you're going to talk about real estate and you talk about real estate, people will see your content because Instagram can put a check mark. You told me what you were talking about and you talked about it. If you are truly matching that theme, the algorithm loves that. Exactly like what the next bullet says, if your bio, name field, and username tell Instagram what you're talking about, then Instagram processes it really well. Instagram does have an algorithm that can read a photo, but if you are telling Instagram what things are about, it works even better, which actually takes us to the last bullet, which is alt text. In your advanced settings, or if you edit a photo later, you will see something that says alt text. It was created for the visually impaired to tell them what a photo is. If you fill that out and it tells Instagram, okay, this is what this photo is, and it matches up with your themed content, with your theme in your bio, the algorithm loves it. It will push your content up. And if you are using hashtags, not just one, not just two, but really using hashtags, the algorithm is very happy. So the more you can theme your content, make it really, on Mondays I post this type of content, on Wednesdays I post this type of content. And it doesn't have to be super prescriptive, but some sort of theme that weaves through, the more the algorithm will understand and reward. And it's all about getting your content seen by more and more people. So, okay, you said I need to use hashtags and not just one or two, so what does that mean? So you need to kind of do your research. And again, I know you all have full-time jobs and you don't have time to just do hashtag strategy research. So in general, you should be using between about 20 or 30 hashtags, and some should be consistent and some should change. So we'll use the lower end and we'll say, let's say you're doing 20 hashtags, 15 should be consistent. So your hashtag should really range in the number of people using them. So you should use the hashtags that have the most likes. So Motivation Monday, Monday Motivation, those have tons of people using them. You want to use those, but you also want to use the ones that have very few, because you will get viewership from all different people and you want to try and capitalize on as many eyes as possible. And then you should have about 5 that are relevant to what you're posting. So, you know, if it's coaching specific, if it's a first-time home buyer specific, if it's a Thursday specific, you want to make sure that you are using hashtags that are super relevant to the post itself, in addition to the ones that are on every single post you use. So really the things you want to remember are about 20 to 30, some consistent, some changing. The ones that are changing should be super relevant to the content. The ones that are staying the same should range in the number of people that view them. And you will see those numbers when you type them into your phone. Okay, so I do get a bunch of questions about the importance of likes and why Instagram may or may not be taking them away in terms of you seeing how many likes someone else gets. So really, likes are only as important as people make them, which is why Instagram is considering taking them away and beta testing that. So they are beta testing it for the mental health of millennials and Gen Zers. People are valuing themselves based on the number of likes a photo gets, and instead of businesses and creators being able to say, my content is really important, and that's what Instagram wants. So they are really thinking about this from a responsible standpoint and saying, if we take away the likes, people will focus on the content, people can comment, people can interact, save and share, but it won't be, I got 30 likes, you got 300, I'm less cool than you, which is what they really are trying to avoid. They want no sad eggs like this guy. And, you know, we have seen it on some accounts we're not seeing it on yet. We don't know exactly when this is going to happen. It has happened in some other countries, and we're waiting to kind of see how it rolls out here. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation. If you had any questions, please feel free to reach out to Cindy, and everyone will be getting a copy of this presentation. And thank you so much for your time today. It's greatly appreciated, and really just dive into Instagram. Just try it. It will get easier, and your population is there. Your millennials are there. So just start using it, start putting content out there, and you'll start to see that millennial base will start to interact with you, and the likes really will turn into leads. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.